beautiful guitar introduction. That's Pink Floyd, Hey You. So, hey you students, let's learn about matrix addition and subtraction and continue our discussion on matrices. All right, so here's what we're going to look at. It's just how you do addition and subtraction, which is actually real simple. The thing that you have to do is you have to have the same size matrices. So for instance, if you look at, this is matrix addition, this has 3 rows and 2 columns. So you have a 3 by 2. I did that. Okay, so this is a 3 by 2 matrix. This is also a 3 by 2 matrix. So you end up with a 3 by 2. So the key thing is they have to have the same size in order to add or subtract. All right. This one you couldn't do. This is a 2 by 2. It has 2 rows and it has 2 columns. But this matrix has 3 rows and 3 columns, so you can't do it. Okay. So it's got to be the same size. Now, if they are the same size, it's very easy to do. And a lot of times you can do these in your head. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1, these 2 here, and we'll just kind of do these. And I won't spend a lot of time on matrix addition and subtraction because generally it's pretty easy for students to do. So first of all, this matrix here has 2 rows and it has 2 columns, so that's a 2 by 2. The second matrix also has 2 rows and 2 columns. That means that, well, you get the answer would also be a 2 by 2. Now you can do this in your head. So you do the elements. We're going to add those corresponding elements. I'll just kind of highlight these so you can see what I'm doing. All right. And just add the corresponding elements, which you're more than welcome to do in your head if you want to. And do that. Now, if I want you to show your work on this, then all I'd have you do is just go 1 plus -8 for the first element. Let me erase this then. So it goes like this. So the first element would be 1 plus -8. The second element would be -9 plus 0. Then -3 plus 2. And then 0 plus 6. So that's what you're doing. So the answer would be -7, -9, -1, and 6. Okay, so that is your final answer to that problem would be that matrix right there. Okay, all right. So this next one is subtraction. So this is going to basically go like this. We have 4 rows and 2 columns. The second matrix is the same size, so that means we can do that. Okay, on subtraction, sometimes it's a little bit important to kind of carefully write your steps. A little harder to do this in your head for most students. So this is subtraction. So the first thing we're going to do is 10 minus 4. Then we'll do 5 minus 9. Then 8 minus 8. Then -5. This is where you got to be careful. -5 subtract -4. And then 0.75 minus 0.25. And then 0.6 minus 0.4. And then -1, be careful again, -1 subtract -3, then 1 subtract 1. Okay, so just be real cautious about how you do everything. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 5 minus 9 is -4. 8 minus 8 is 0. -5 minus -4, see, that's -5. That becomes -5 plus 4. So that's -1. That's where you got to be careful. 0.75 minus 0.25 is 0.5. And then -0.6 minus 0.4. If you do that, it's just like adding 2 negatives. So that would be -1.0 or just -1. Okay. And then we have -1 minus -3. So -1 minus -3 is -1 plus 3. So that's 2. And then finally, 1 subtract 1 is 0. So the answer to that matrix should be this. Okay, so you can do these in your head. If I wanted you to write steps, just write this, write out what you're doing. Okay, do that. Okay, what do you think the answer to the next one is? Can't do it exactly. Okay, they're different sizes. So this one is, we would say this is undefined. So you can't do that because the first matrix has 4 rows and 1 column. The second one has 3 rows and 1 column. So they're not the same size. All right, so that's how that goes. All right, so I'm not going to have you do any problems on add and subtraction. Generally, students don't have much trouble with that. Next thing's matrix multiplication. And we'll go over that a little bit. I do want you to be able to do this by hand. Then we'll go over how your calculator will do this in just a minute as we go through and do these. So what I'm going to go ahead and do before I go to matrix multiplication, I want you to get your calculator out. And I'm going to take you through how you could do this, these problems on your calculator then. So write down the keystrokes if you need to too. So you have your matrix. So generally, to get that to open up, you're going to go second matrix, and then you want to edit. Okay, so generally, just go over to edit. You can put in any one of these. This first matrix, I'm going to put in A. So I press enter. The size of this matrix is 2 by 2, so I put 2 by 2. Okay, like that. Then I just put in the elements. So the first element's 1, second element's -9. Okay, third element, -3, and then the last element is 0. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, the quit button just takes you back to the matrix thing. So you can go second quit, and you're back to normal. Start over again, go second matrix. Now this time we'll go edit, and then this time we'll put the second matrix in B or whatever you want to put it in. Press enter. Again, the second matrix is 2 by 2. Put in the elements. So -8, press enter. 0, press enter. 2 and 6. Just make sure when you're putting this in that you have everything put in. All right, so then go second quit. That takes you back to a clear screen. Okay, then go back to matrix. So now we're going to go back to matrix. We want to highlight A. We've got it put in, so just press enter. Then plus, go back to matrix. Put in matrix B like this. So ultimately, you want that to come out on a clear screen. Then that gives the answer to that problem. Okay? All right, so that's how that one would be put in. Your graphing calculator is like that. So it's actually pretty easy to do these things with your calculator then. Okay? All right, now we're going to go down to matrix multiplication and learn a little bit about how that goes. All right, so first of all, in order to multiply two matrices, the dimensions have to match a certain way. So you have matrix 1 has these dimensions. That has A rows, B columns. Matrix B has C rows, D columns. So what has to happen on this is this and this have to be the same. Okay, that's why I say B has to be equal to C. So they have to be the same. Then the result is always going to be these two things. So what you'll have as a result is going to be A by D matrix. So the key thing is B and C have to be the same. That would be the number of columns in matrix 1 has to be the same as the number of rows in matrix 2. And you get your result. So before you learn how to multiply matrices, you got to understand when can I even do this, okay? So let's go down here and next page, and I'll begin to show you kind of how this works. So the first matrix is 3 by 2. Second matrix is 2 by 6. Okay, so if you have a 3 by 2 matrix and you are multiplying that by a 2 by 6, okay, first of all, you got to make sure those are the same. All right, so that means it's possible. All right, then the result is going to be this times this. Okay, so it'd be a 3 by 6 matrix would be the result. That's all there is to it. Okay, the next one, you have a 1 by 5 matrix multiplied by another 1 by 5 matrix. Well, you got to see if those are the same. Okay, Nope, that's different, so it's not even possible. Okay, so you get no result. Okay, then the next one would be a 2 by 4 matrix multiplied by a 4 by 1 matrix. Again, see if those are the same. Okay, that's a check, so that means yes, that matrix multiplication is possible. The result is there. So that would be a 2 by 1 matrix. All right. And then finally, the last one, you have a 3 by 2 matrix times a 3 by 2 matrix. I'll ask you, is this even possible? No. Okay, they're not the same. So that's not possible. All right, so you're not going to get a result out of that. Okay, so you can do these in your head if you want to. Just pause the video and then work these out. Okay, so you can go ahead and check your answers, see if you did this right. This first one is possible. Okay, 4 by 3 by 3 by 1. Again, those are the same. Therefore, the result is a 4 by 1 matrix. Second one, also possible. Okay, these are the same. Result, 3 by 3. Next one is also possible. Again, these are the same. Result is a 1 by 1 matrix. And then the last one, not possible, because those are not the same. That's all there is to it. Okay, so you got to know that first of all. Then once we learn how to do this, then you'll see why this works the way it does. So what we're going to do is going to learn how to multiply two matrices. So what happens is we end up multiplying the corresponding elements and then adding them together. Okay, it's easier to demonstrate than it is to necessarily go through what this theorem is saying, what this definition is saying. Basically, if you have a 1 by n and an n by 1, you end up with a 1 by 1 matrix like this, right? And what you do is you would just do this times this times this, and so forth, and add them together. I'm going to demonstrate that in example 3. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we go down to this example and we look at this. The dimension of the first matrix, it has 1 row and it has 3 columns. The second matrix has 3 rows and it has 1 column. Okay, so again, the way we just learned how to do this was if you're multiplying these matrices, these have to be the same, and they are. So that means the result would be these outer terms. So you're going to end up with a 1 by 1 matrix like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the answer is. So when you do this, we're going to just have a 1 by 1 matrix. So I'll try to highlight, and this will help you a little bit. So you take that times that. That's step 1. So we want to just do 1 times 5. You multiply those corresponding elements. Then we do 2 times 4. So we do 2 times 4, multiply that. And then finally we do 3 times 3. Okay, but then what you do is you add all these things up. So what you would get is 5 plus 8 plus 9. So that would be 9 and 8 is 17. 17 plus 5 is 22. So the answer would be a 1 by 1 matrix with the result 22. Okay. Now I'm going to show you on the calculator. It's important that you know how to do these things by hand and with the calculator. So let's go ahead and let's put this one in. And again, just do this with me on here. We're going to go to second matrix, open that up. Now let's put these two matrices in C and D this time. So we want to edit, highlight the one you want to put in. So I'm just going to do that. That first matrix is a 1 by 3. So you want to get that put in, then just put in the elements 1, 2, 3, like that. So once you get your matrix put in, use the quit button to go back to a clear screen. Okay, start over again. Second, get your matrix, go to edit. Then we're going to go to matrix D, which is the second matrix, and this matrix is a 3 by 1. So we do 3 by 1. Put in the elements 5, 4, 3. Like that. Okay, and then second quit. So what we would do then is we would do this. We would go second matrix, And then we want to highlight C. Then we can put a time symbol. You can even leave that off if you want to. Then back to matrix, highlight D, press enter. So that's ultimately what you're doing is C times D gives an answer of 22. Okay, so see, you can use your calculator to quickly verify that you're getting the right results. And when the matrices are real big, then it's, that's how you're going to do it. All right, so that would be how you start this then. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this example on the next page I took out of the book, and I thought it was a fairly good way to represent this then, is this one right here. I'll just sort of talk through what you do, and then we'll do an example, and I'll let you try to work a few things out. So this matrix has 2 rows, and it has 3 columns. So it's a 2 by 3. This one has 3 rows and 2 columns. So like we learned, the inners are the same. 3 and 3 are the same. That means we get a 2 by 2. So the result is 2 by 2. So here's what you do, all right? And I'll highlight this. So what you do is this first element right here, you got 4 elements you got to put together. You take that row, and then you take this column right here. So that's what you get that goes in that first thing. This times this, you're going to do that matrix multiplication, all right? So that's what you do there. I'll try to color code this, and then that might help you see this, okay? All right, so that's how that goes. And then when we move to the next one just kind of goes like this. We take this row times this column, okay? And then that's what you do to get that element there, okay? Then you move to the next one, and you take the second row times the first column, like that, and that's what goes there. And then lastly, you do this row times this column right here, and then that's what goes there, okay? All right, so basically you got a 2 by 2. You do this row and this column, all right? And let me just kind of write one more thing out here like this. You're filling in really 4 locations on this 2 by 2. So what you're really doing is you're doing row 1 times column 1. Then you're doing row 1 times column 2. Then you're doing row 2 times column 1, and then row 2 times column 2. It's very logical the way we do that. And then notice what we do is this. If you just look at the individual parts, it's 2 times 1, 3 times 2, -1 times -1, add together. So if you work that out, you get 9. Okay, so again, what we're doing is doing this thing. That gives that element right there. Okay, second thing, we do this matrix. Okay, 2 times 3, 3 times 0, -1 times 2. Work out the arithmetic, you get 4. And then when we do this, -2 times 1, 1 times 2, 2 times -1, work out the arithmetic, you get -2. And then lastly, -2 times 3, 1 times 0, 2 times 2, do this arithmetic, you get that result like that, okay? So it's not as hard as it seems, you just got to know clearly in your mind what arithmetic you're doing. Okay, so let me do this next one here. And I'll try this out. First of all, I'll figure out the size. This one has 3 rows, and it has 2 columns. Okay, the first matrix. The second matrix has 2 rows, and it has 3 columns. So is this possible? Yes. What's the result? 3 by 3. Okay. So let me kind of show you how you do this. And if you show your work on this, you want to kind of do this like this. All right. So we got a 3 by 3 matrix that we have to do on this then. All right. So I'm just going to kind of write this out. So we're going to end up with a 3 by 3 result. So I'm going to try to highlight this and sort of color code this. So the first thing we do is row 1, column 1. So we do 2 times 1, and then 0 times -1, and then we add together. Let me write that a little bit neater here. Let me write this more like this. 2 times 1 plus 0 times -1. It's a little neater if you do it that way. Okay, so that's the first multiplication you're going to do, is we're going to focus on that. Okay, now I'm going to start over again, and we're going to do row 1, column 2. And then we'll put that in here. So we do 2 times 2, and then 0 times -2, and then we add the result. Okay, so that's what goes there again, is 2 times 2, 0 times -2, add the result. Okay, start over again, and we'll do row 1, column 3. And then that's what's going to go here. So that's going to be 2 times 0 plus 0 times 4, and that's what goes there. Okay, all right, and then that'll give you the result. We'll do this result in our head primarily to get the answer then. All right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of continue going through this, and if I want you to show your work, you need to do this. You can learn to do this in your head, but it's a little hard to keep from making mistakes, I find, by doing this all in your head. So now I'm going to go to this row. Whoops, hold on, we're in the second row now. So since we're on the second row, we do this row, this column. Okay, and then that result will go there. Okay, so that's just going to be 1 times, -1. So we have -1 times 1, and then plus 1 times -1. So that's what goes in the first position. Okay, then I start over again. And again, I'm in the second row. Now I move to the second column. So this goes like this. We would do -1 times 2 plus 1 times -2. All right, that's what goes there. Okay, and then we'll move to the next one. We're still in row 2. Now we need to move to column 3. So that will be -1 times 0 plus 1 times 4. All right, that gives that. Remember, we got a 3 by 3 matrix. So we got one more thing to do. All right, so I just start over again. It's very logical how we do this, I think. So we're now ready for row 3, column 1. So when I do that, I'm going to have 3 times 1 plus 2 times -1, and that'll give you the result. Okay, and I'll erase, and then we'll move to the next thing. So again, what we have is row 3, now we're ready for column 2. So we do 3 times 2 plus 2 times -2. So it goes like that. And then finally, we'll move to the very last, and we'll do row 3, and we're ready for column 3. So we do 3 times 0 plus 2 times 4. Okay? So that's the arithmetic we work out. Now, the rest of this stuff we can mostly do in our head if you want to. Okay, so we have 2 plus 0 here. And I'm going to just write that out before I write the answer. Okay, then we have 4 plus 0. Then we have 0 plus 0, like that. And yeah, you can do this in your head if you want to. This next one would be -1 plus -1. And this would be -2 plus -2. Oh. And then finally, this would be 0 plus 4. And then down here, this would be 3 plus -2. And then this would be 6 plus -4. And then 0 plus 8. All right. So here's your answer. 2, 4, 0, -2, -4, 4, 1, 2, 8. Now you can do that whole thing in your head. It's just kind of hard to do that, I find, particularly when you're learning that. So that right there would be the result of that. Okay. So since we're kind of learning how to do this on the calculator, let's go through and let's do a check on this problem. and see if we're doing this right. Now, again, what I'm going to do is second matrix and edit. Now, I'm going to just go all the way down, put this in E and F. So I'm ready to edit E. So press enter. The size of this first matrix is 3 by 2. Okay, then just put in the elements 2, 0, -1, 1, 3, and 2. Like that, and then quit. So we just make sure you got the matrix in right. Okay, start over again. Second matrix, edit, and let's go down to matrix F. Okay, and matrix, this matrix is a 2 by 3. So get the dimension set up and then just put in the elements. So 1, 2, 0, and then -1, -2, and +4. All right, so everything's in. Just double check, make sure everything's in. So what we're going to do now is go quit, and then we go second matrix, and then we're going to put E and F in. So we highlight E, and then we multiply by matrix F. So back to matrix, highlight number 6, do that. Okay, let's see if we got it right. 2, 4, 0, -2, -4, 4, 1, 2, 8. So it's easy to tell you have the right answer. Now, again, like I say, on homework and stuff, you want to try to do as many of these things as you can by hand for the practice. You got the ability to get everything right on these problems, see? So you want to be able to do that then. Okay, so let's see. What I want you to do is pause the video, and I want you to do both of these by hand, and then check on the TI. Okay, please check on the TI. So I'll give you a little time to do that. Pause now. When you're ready to check, come back and check. See if you did it right. Try to write all the steps out like I did. Okay, so you want to go ahead and see if you did this right. You want to double check the arithmetic that you did and everything. I checked both of these on the calculator when I put this in. So let me just go through a couple of key things. This one is a 2 by 2 matrix being multiplied by a 2 by 3. So the inner dimensions are equal, so that means it's possible. The outer 2, 3, you get a 2 by 3 matrix. So your answer had 2 rows and 3 columns. And then what you do is this. I'll try to color code this. That helps. Students, that's where you start. Row 1, column 1. So you do that. 1 times 3, 2 times -2. They like that. All right, if you're having trouble with this, just watch what I do here. Then you go to the next one. Row 1, column 2. So I do 1 times -1, 2 times 2. All right. Okay, I'll erase that, and we go to the next thing. So the next thing we do is we have row 1 ready for column 3. So it's 1 times 0, 2 times 1, and so forth. Okay, and then that's the idea. And then do the arithmetic. When you move on to the next thing, you do row 2, column 1. So I do that. Then you do row 2, column 2. So I do that. And finally, we do row 2, column 3. So I do that. Right? So this ends up being 3 plus -4, -1 plus 4, 0 plus 2, 6 plus -2, -2 plus 2, and then 0 plus 1. All right, so that's how that goes. All right. So just kind of carefully write down what you're doing and be careful about your arithmetic, and then follow up with a quick check on your calculator. Okay, the next one was you're doing a 2 by 2 matrix by another 2 by 2. So it is possible. Inners are the same. Outers are 2.222. So this one goes like this. You start with row 1, column 1. All right, so you want to do that. 1 times -1 plus 3 times 2. All right. Then you move to the next one is going to be row 1, column 2. So you do that arithmetic. Okay. Then you move on to row 2, column 1. That's what goes there. And then finally you move to row 2, column 2. And that's what goes there. Okay, so just double check the arithmetic and see if that's okay. All right, just double check. If you need to pause and kind of process this, then do that. Okay. All right, so I'll go to this last page and pause if you need to for a few minutes. I'm going on to the next page. So what we'll look at in the next page is an application of a markup matrix. I kind of like this one because matrices, you can do this with technology and it's a lot less tedious if you do this with technology. So I'm going to pause just for a second. Okay, so let's look at this application. This is a nice application. One of the things that matrices are so helpful for is for organizing your information. And typically in a business setting, a scientific setting, you have a lot of data to keep track of. So this is a pretty good example of, to me, of something that you could do with matrices. You know, if you were kind of looking at changing retail price and invoice price, once you get this set up in a matrices, then you could quickly use technology to answer some key questions. So first of all, in this particular problem, what we have is this is basically the retail price. There's three models of a car. Model A, Model B, and Model C. This is the retail price of the basic car. This would be if you add the air conditioning. This is if you add the radio and add the cruise control. That's the way cars typically are, is they have a price to them, and then if you can add accessories on like that. So this is just a way to keep track of this information. All right, so this is what you pay. All right, you're paying the retail price. Now the dealer, this is what the dealer pays. All right, so obviously the dealer who's selling you the car wants to make a profit. So the profit would come from basically just taking this minus this. That would make, see how much money, so that you can tell in your head, the dealer makes about $5,000, $4,000, that because this is almost 31, so that's roughly around $4,000. Okay, it's being made by the dealer on that then. So we call this a markup matrix. The markup matrix would be the difference between this and this. Okay, so M minus M. Take that matrix minus that gives you a markup matrix. So actually, you could easily put this in your calculator. We'll do this in just a minute because we're going to do this one on the calculator. But on this particular problem, what it says is, suppose the value of the dollar has had a sharp decline and the dealer invoice price, let me kind of highlight this, the invoice price has a 15% increase. All right, so this thing right here is going to go up 15%. Okay, that's what that says. And then it says to stay competitive with domestic cars, the dealer increases the retail 10%. So this thing is going to go up 10%. And then we're going to find the markup based on this then. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of how this works a little bit here. If all of these numbers go up 10%, here's one way to look at this. What you would do is, just looking at this part right here, you would do 35,075 plus, and then you could do 10%. 10%, remember you got to move the decimal over 2 to get 0.10 times this. Okay, that's how you do that. So what you would do is this. I want to just sort of show you a shortcut on this too. So if you took that 10% of this amount, 35,075, that thing goes up like this. And then you add that together. So if you add 35,075, that's the original price, plus the 10% markup, which is 3507.50, then that thing goes up to this. Now there's a shortcut you can do on this, and it basically goes like this. If you have an item, so let's just say X is the price. If you wanted to make that go up 10%, that's how that goes. Now, see, you can look at this as 1x, the original plus the increase. If you do 1 plus 1.0, you get 1.1x. So that's how you make a 10%. This would be a 10% increase. If you did 15%, like we're going to do here, I'm going to show you kind of the same thing on this. Let's take this value, 30,996, but this is going to go up 15%. So you would do 0.15 times 30,996. Okay, and then this goes like this on the calculator. So you would go like this. You would take the original amount, $30,996, plus 15% of that amount, and then add together, and then that'll give you the marked up cost then. So that would be $35,645.40. Okay, but if you're making something go up 15, you can do this. The original amount is X. You're making it go up 15. So what do you have? 1 plus 0.15 is 1.15x. So that's how you make something go up 10%. That's how you make something go up 15%. So what we're going to do when we do this on the calculator is we're going to do this. So the markup, what we're going to do is we're going to take this matrix is going to go up 10%. So we're going to do 1.1 times matrix M. Then we're going to make the second one go up 15. So it's 1.15 matrix N. Then we subtract the two to get the markup matrix. All right. Now we're going to do this totally on the calculator, but that's what you do to do this then. So we don't really need to write anything down other than just get the solution. So let's do this together on the calculator. And just I would do this with me on this, and then just kind of pause if you have trouble. Or if you want to pause and try to do this yourself, you can. So I'm going to go second matrix, and I'm just going to put everything in A and B. Okay, all right. So I'm going to edit A. Okay, the size of this matrix, it has 3 rows and 4 columns. So 3 rows, 4 columns. Now put in this information carefully. So 35,075. Double check that you're putting everything in right. Then 2560. So that's that matrix. Then 170. Oh, you gotta be real careful when you put this stuff in. 1070. Okay, then 640 and so forth. Okay, the next row, 3, 9, 45, 1840, 770, 460, and let's see, then the next one, the expensive car, 45,535, 3,400, and then 1415, and 850, like that. So there's your first matrix. I'm going to just slide that over. So I'm going to kind of keep track of that. And then I like to kind of just double check, make sure that I didn't put anything in wrong, because I do that sometimes. So it looks like I'm good. I'm pretty sure I didn't make any mistakes. Okay. All right. So we got that. Now we're going to go quit. And we'll go back to matrix, and you just do, let's just put this in matrix B. So we go edit, matrix B is again 3 rows and 4 columns, and then put in your dealer invoice matrix. So that is 30,996. Okay, and then 2050, and then 660, and 3. Whoa, see, look at me, I'm starting to jump. We all do stuff like this. So it's 850. Okay, like that. Eyes are starting to jump around on me. 510, so it goes like that. Second row, 3, 4, 857. You guys can put this in a heck of a lot faster than I can, probably. 1585. And then 660. 395. And last row, 41,667. And 2890. 1200. And 725. All right, so that is my second matrix in my calculator in matrix B. All right, so I got everything put in. It looks like I got everything okay. I don't see any issues. Okay, all right, I think we're good. All right, so clear screen. Now, here's what you do. We're going to put this in our calculator. So we put 1.1 times matrix A is what we're going to do, back to matrix. And then just highlight A like that. Then we're going to subtract. Then this is marked up 1.15, so we do 1.15 times matrix B. So that gets put in like this. Right, so that's ultimately what we're doing is that. And then this will give you the answer. Now this answer on here, sometimes you have to kind of scroll over when you record this thing. It won't show this real good on my calculator. So let's just go ahead and let's start writing down what that result is, and we'll talk about what this markup means. All right, so that first thing there is $2,937.10, then $458.50, $199.50, and you can move over with this key to get that put in to see what everything is. So that's $117.50. Okay, and let's go ahead and continue recording. Next row, we have $2,863.95, $201.25, $88, move over, $51.75, like that. And then the last row, it looks like that is 2171.45, $416.50, $176.50, and then last but not least, $101.25. All right, so that's what we end up getting. Now let's talk about what this is. So see, this is Model A, Model B, Model C. This is the basic car. This is the air option. This is the radio option. And then this is the cruise control. So this is just given the profit that is being made in each situation. Okay, so this is how much money that the dealer is making. So I think that's kind of a cool way to do this. Matrices allow you, once you get the data put in the matrices, that's real fast to do on the calculator. So that's kind of a nice little business application to look at. All right, so that will wrap up this video. Get real comfortable on your calculator, because you're going to use your calculator a bunch in chapter 4. We want you to know how to do technology. That's how we do this in the modern world. You got to know the principles behind the math, and then you're going to let your technology take over mostly. The things that I have you do by hand are pretty small matrices. I want you to add, subtract, and multiply small matrices. That's the idea, okay? But you have the ability to check. All right, good luck.